McGraw-Hill Audio presents The Rumsfeld Way, Leadership Wisdom of a Battle-Hardened Maverick. Written by Jeffrey A. Krames. Read by Grover Gardner. Rumsfeld's Return. August 9th, 1974. It would be a day like no other in American history. In a one-sentence letter written in the Lincoln sitting room in the White House, Richard Nixon resigned the presidency of the United States. Vice President Gerald Ford, who awoke early that morning, climbed into a limousine for his fateful trip into Washington. Once he had settled in, he was handed a 4-page memo outlining the decisions he would need to make soon after being sworn in as America's 38th president. "We share your view that there should be no chief of staff," the document read in part, reflecting an opinion Ford had expressed previously. However, there should be someone who could rapidly and efficiently organize the new staff, but who will not be perceived or be eager to be chief of staff. Ford, well aware of history bearing down upon him, reflected once again upon this critical decision. Unexpectedly, the former congressman found himself presiding over one of the darkest moments in the nation's history. This was not the time for bickering or infighting. Ford knew he needed someone strong enough to ride herd on the situation without appearing overly aggressive or ambitious. His transition team, already in disarray, had recommended Frank Carlucci, the highly regarded former HEW secretary. There were two other alternatives, including Deputy Defense Secretary William P. Clements, Jr. But as the limo glided over the bridge that separated Virginia from the nation's capital, Ford wrote the name of the man who would be charged with handling one of the most difficult transfers of power in America's history. Rumsfeld. Friday, January 11th, 2002. The Pentagon, 2:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More than 80 reporters have already jockeyed for their plywood seats as nearly 1 million viewers tune in, awaiting the beginning of the latest best show on earth, The Rummy Show. At least twice a week, and often more frequently, the 69-year-old bespectacled Secretary of Defense, Donald H. Rumsfeld, has hosted a briefing to deliver the latest news on the war against terrorism. Indisputably, he has become the face and voice of the war. His prickly yet candid answers to often repetitive questions have won over, even mesmerized, a historically skeptical Washington press corps. In the days before the briefing, there had been disturbing press reports that a certain number of high-ranking Taliban and al-Qaeda personnel had been captured and, for reasons yet unknown, released. If this were true, it would represent an embarrassing situation for the U.S. government, which was committed to holding and interrogating any such prisoners. The exchange that followed captures the quintessential Rumsfeld and goes some way toward explaining the unlikely popularity of the Rummy Show. Question. Mr. Secretary, what's your reaction to the release of 7 Taliban leaders in Kandahar, and some of them senior? Rumsfeld. I've read those reports and I've tracked them down 2 days in a row, and we can't verify that that ever happened, that there were ever those people in custody, that anyone— it's hard to be released if you were never in custody. Question. So you're saying it didn't happen? Rumsfeld. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Question. Oh. Rumsfeld. I'm saying precisely what I said. Question. Okay. Rumsfeld. That for 2 days I've tried to track down these fascinating stories I've been reading in the press and hearing debated on television, and I am not able to do so. I keep pursuing it and saying, my goodness, they can't all be wrong. Please see if you can't find out what they're writing about. But I can't find what people have been writing about and talking about on television. I can't find it. But this does not say it didn't happen. A question or two later, while other reporters are clamoring to be recognized, Rumsfeld thinks of one more thing to add to that discussion and goes back to it. Question. Mr. Secretary. Question. Mr. Secretary. Rumsfeld. Wait a second. If there's anyone in this room who can give me any more information about these people who were supposed to be in custody, whether you've written about it or not, laughter, I'll be available after the meeting. That's a typical Rumsfeld exchange. The subject could hardly be more serious, yet Rumsfeld attacks it with a hard-nosed humor. And despite his obvious lack of awe for the media, he has developed a rapport with the press seldom seen in the post-Watergate era.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?